Hello, everybody. This is Tito Bort, CEO at Altisales here, and we are going to be recording another SDR Superstar series today. This one is exciting because we're using a little bit of uncommon techniques and methods. It's going to be a little bit of LinkedIn ideas and messaging and how to be very strategic with prospects in the enterprise space. And it's one of my first guests coming from Europe. So Joakim Nguyen is based in Oslo, Norway, and he's joining us today. Welcome.
Thank you, and I'm very honored and pleasant to be a part of your series.
Yeah, man. Thanks for joining. This is going to be exciting. I know you and I were chatting a little bit before about some of your strategies. And for the audience to know, Joakim had hit 357% of quota in his best month. And his best quarter, he was at 291% of quota for the quarter. So some of the strategies and ideas he's going to be sharing today are definitely really good for you to learn from, adapt your strategy, and try to steal a few tips and tricks. Before we get started, though, Joakim, I do want to make sure that everybody has context. I tend to say that the prospecting strategy is highly dependent on the average deal size and the product and the persona. So especially in regards to some of the meetings that we're talking about, I can explain the audience a little bit on the context on where you are today and what happened over the past few months. But why don't you give us some context on the personas and the accounts that you're reaching out to?
Yeah, so just want to give some context on what I'm gonna talk about forward. So I'm recently moved to a new company in Norway, but for the most of the part of this series, I'm gonna talk more about my previous job. So my previous job, we had a tool for user testing. So we captured user feedback to get companies, and the target was primarily mid-market enterprise customers. The personas was people working within digital, within UX, within service design, and innovation. Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Good stuff. So enterprise deals, you were saying, mid-market enterprise, we classify that as like 60K, 80K, 100K plus.
Yeah.
And usually you're talking to like VP level, C level, like at least director level at many of these companies.
Yeah.
Also, why don't you add some extra context? How many SDRs were in the company? Were you doing mostly inbound or outbound? What was life like?
Yeah, so we had around 35 SDRs and BDRs. So the SDR, they were focusing on the inbound leads, and the BDRs were focusing on the outbound leads. So we were around 25 BDRs and 10 SDRs. So I was a part of the BDR team. So I was focusing on the outbounding.
Okay, awesome. And then I think you mentioned that some of your best months, you were at around 40 meetings. Is that right?
Yeah, so my best month was in November last year. I had 44 meetings. Yeah.
That's absolutely crazy. For all of you who are, in attendance today or watching a recorded version of this, most enterprise SDRs are getting about 4 meetings a month. So getting 44 is like doing the work of like 10 people, which is absolutely crazy. Let's dive a little bit deeper into your strategy. So what were your territories? I think it's good context for people. And then like, what was your like primary driver of meetings?
Yeah, so my territories was in the Nordics, since I'm located in Oslo, and also Germany. Since I'm not fluent in German, I can understand a little bit and I can write a little bit. But yeah, I had Germany also as my territory. And when you are saying drivers, what do you mean exactly?
So like, where were you getting these from? Like, was it email? Was it phone?
Yeah,
was it
yeah,
social?
yeah.
And what was were you like calling and then emailing, or like what was
Yeah,
the
yeah,
play?
yeah. So since I worked in so many regions with different languages, it was a little bit hard for me to call and all those countries because I didn't knew all those languages perfectly. So for me, it's very important to be confident, because when I'm confident, I feel that the prospects, if I'm not confident when I'm speaking about my product, then my prospect wouldn't believe what I would say to them. They're just thinking, yeah, he's gonna try to sell me something. He's not trying to help us solve our problems. If I'm confident, I feel that I'm really are trying to solve some one problem. So most of my work went on email and LinkedIn. But for Norway, I also called a little bit because I'm Norwegian citizen and I can speak Norwegian. But yeah, so I had like created my own sequence in these languages. So I didn't have an English sequence. I translated the sequence into all those countries that I were prospecting.
Okay. So we're using language specific. So when you were prospecting to Germany, you would have, even though you're not fluent in German, you would have a sequence in German. And then,
yeah,
wow, that's tough. Like
yeah,
I learned German in high school. And if you asked me to do SDR work in Germany, I would be so like worried about like my inability to be able to do a good job. So were your AEs helping you a little bit in creating the sequences? Were they fluent in German? Or because I know
yeah,
a few SDRs that just prospect in English everywhere.
yeah. So I had help from a colleague that was AE in Germany. So he helped me a lot. And also my friend that worked in support in that company, he was also from Germany. So every time I was getting a response that I didn't understand 100% correctly, I was sending him to him and asking him if he could translate it for me. So it worked actually very well. And I got it from, I talked with like, I was at a seminar with like business leaders in the industry in Oslo. And I asked them like, if you receive an email in English, what is your first thought? And then they told me that it was probably spamming, or yeah, someone that tried to
Right.
spam them. And then I was like, so is it a bigger chance if you were getting the outreach in your own language that you would open the email? And then it told me yes. And then I was like, wow, I need to translate my Swedish one. I need to translate my Danish ones. I need to translate the German ones. And it have worked very well.
That's an awesome strategy. I mean, it creates a little bit more complexity, right? Because now
Yeah.
instead of having one sequence, you have to have several sequences. And then according to where the people are located or what languages they speak, you got to put it in a different sequence. But I agree with that. Like, so many people are spraying and praying in English that when you are sending something in specific languages, it will just increase your open rates and conversion rates. And then let's talk a little bit about like, what did those sequences say? What steps did you have? You said you're not calling too much. So were you sending direct mail? Was it mostly email and just like, I assume video would be hard. LinkedIn?
Yeah. So the first thing I would do is to send them an email. So on the first email, I try to, because I don't want to like make them feel that I just want to sell them something. I want to provide value, and I want to show them that I want to help them solve their problems. So the first email for me is very important to create value. So I do my research. I'm searching on them at Google. I'm going to LinkedIn. I see what they are posting, and then I create my first email is very personalized.
Yeah.
And then I put them on a sequence, an automatic sequence after that. But after sending my first email, I tried to connect with them on LinkedIn, and I got actually a lot of connections on LinkedIn when I send them a request. And the first thing I do if I connect with them, and this is something I learned from our B2B sales advisor, Seth Dehart. He taught me something very interesting, and I had to try it out. So basically, what that phrase is, so when I'm connecting with them, I send them a message and just telling them, hey, it was me that sent you an email. I just wanted to come by and say hi so that you see that I'm a human and I'm not a machine. And I got a lot of response from that and a lot of meetings by doing that. So that was like a aha moment for me when I tried that. And the other thing I also do is, and I feel this one is actually very good, very good tricks, is when you're trying to reach out to somebody on LinkedIn, try to do that when the prospect is online. It will raise your response rates a lot. Like when you go on messages, or you go to the profile, you can actually see when a person is online or not. There's a much bigger chance to get a response if they're online and when you send them a message. Because some people are not using LinkedIn that much. Maybe they're using it, maybe they're logged in like 1 to 2 times a week, or some are online every day, but some are not.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to show this here for the audience. This green dot shows me you're online. And if I click on message, it will show active now.
Yeah.
So that is the key part of seeing if somebody's active and online, which is really, really awesome. So yeah, when you message them and they are online, then it will just show up on their screen, right? It will let them know immediately that somebody has messaged them. So that is really, really cool.
Yeah.
So do you have how do you organize yourself though? Because like I feel most people work in a sequence, like they are sending a few like emails or making a few phone calls, and then like I might just open somebody's if I need to send them a message on LinkedIn, like most SDRs I know would just open somebody's profile, click on message and send a message and then X out. If somebody's not online, would you postpone the task, or would you like keep the tab open to see when they log in, or would you just?
So I usually have like a 2 days window where like I can check if they're online or not, and if they're not online on the after 2 days, I just send them a message. And I have like that 2 days cadence on LinkedIn, like manual. So it's like if I send the first email, first message, I don't get answer, I wait 2 days, then try to follow that up, and then if I not get answer on that, I wait 2 days, and I do that 4 times. And most of my meetings from LinkedIn actually comes after the second or the third time I reach out to them.
Okay, but help me understand that. So you say if you don't get a response, you try 2 days later, and you might do that up to 4 times. So would you send somebody up to 4 LinkedIn messages?
Yeah, the 4 LinkedIn messages. And I actually not ask them so much about the meeting. I'm more like, after the first message, I'm like, hey, I'm not a machine, I'm a human. And then just bump them up with, hey, did you got my email? And then I try to see if it's something specific they are working with, for example, a project. And I just ask them, hey, I see that you're working with this project. I really want to learn more about you and how you work. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? And it's more like an open and friendly question. I'm not pressuring them on anything. And we start a dialogue, and it's much easier when you're actually interact with somebody and having a dialogue to then after a while go for that meeting.
So you're asking them, like, I see, like, imagine you're trying to reach out to a chief digital officer, a head of innovation. Would you say, hey, I see you're the head of innovation at, call it Starbucks?
Yeah.
And you just ask him, what are you working on, or like make it more concrete for me?
So on many times they are writing it on LinkedIn, like specific things they are responsible for or project they're working with. So then I can, like, let's say he's responsible for a new website. Then I say, oh, so exciting. I was on your LinkedIn and I saw that you was working on a new website. I'm very curious to learn more about how that works. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you're working with that? Or else it can be like, hey, I see that you are head of innovation at the Starbucks, and we work with a lot of other in your role that has this problems or these issues. I just wondered if you are having some of the same.
Yeah.
So it's like to be curious, to like try to grab some information from them that I can use forward.
Yeah, so you either, and I'm taking awesome notes here as you chat, as you share these. So you're either asking them about the projects that they're working on that they describe on LinkedIn themselves, or you ask, hey, a lot of chief innovation officers I talk to are having challenges with X, Y, Z. Are you having the same, or are you seeing the same?
Yeah.
That's really cool. And then so you're getting very strategic. You're trying to figure out, are they online? If they are, you send them the message of, hey, I just wanted to stop by, say hi. I'm a human, not a machine. I sent you an email. And then if they don't respond, you wait again until they're online in the next few days. You might say, hey, did you get a chance to see my email? If they go check that email, what is your call to action on that email? Are you asking for the meeting on that initial email? Or will they get a second email or a second bump? How's your sequence structure so that you're not too annoying or too direct? You seem to be more careful on the LinkedIn touching.
Yeah, so on LinkedIn, I'm a little bit more careful. On email, I'm more like asking for a meeting, but I'm always like trying to set it up in a way that I want to learn more about their projects and product. So I'm asking them, saying like, I'm very curious on how you guys are working. I would love to have a quick chat with you to learn more about how you're doing it. So I'm not like asking, telling them that I want a meeting with them to sell them something. I just tell them a little bit about a value prop, and then that I'm really curious about how they are working with innovation in XXX company. And I would love to have a quick chat.
Cool. So your call to action is have a quick chat because you want to learn more about them.
Yeah.
Cool. I really like that. And then when you're sending these, like obviously one of the things you're trying to do with the I sent you an email is increase your open rates and reply rates on email. Some of them will just reply via LinkedIn. What percentage of your like meetings do you think actually get scheduled via email versus via LinkedIn?
LinkedIn is the most for sure for me. So I was in that month I got 44 meetings. Over 70% of my meetings came from LinkedIn.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That is incredible. And for everybody else who is here, kind of like listening to this conversation, like how are you all using LinkedIn, right? Like go back and rethink, like, can I start connecting with prospects? And also be aware, right? A lot of the things that we try to share in this series is ideas that might work for certain people. So the context here is this is enterprise. Therefore, we can be a little bit more careful and go a little bit slower. And it's Europe based and it's in their own language. So when you're sending these, like, did you see my email? If you're reaching out to a prospect in Germany, you're actually sending a "Hast du mein E-Mail gesehen?" Type of like message. It's in German through LinkedIn. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think people need to understand the nuances, right? Certain strategies might or might not translate perfectly to other countries. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that the strategy is invalid. I think it's definitely worth trying. So what you did there is really, really cool.
Yeah. Also, I think when you like double reach out on two platforms like email and LinkedIn, and you do that while they are online, it creates a sort of urgency for them to respond to you, because now they've seen the email, they're online, and they see that you also are online. So for me, I feel like it's create an urgency for them to respond to me, because most of them actually respond on LinkedIn after I write to them and saying, hey, yeah, sorry, I saw your email. What about Friday?
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. I like that. What do you think of the use of other platforms? Like For you, it's hard calling because you have so many languages, but could you use the same strategy? Like, would you recommend using the same strategy on maybe voicemail? Like, you call somebody, and if they don't pick up the phone, you can just leave a voicemail that says, "Hey, Tito, I tried sending you an email, and or I tried messaging you on LinkedIn and sending you an email. I just wanted you to know that I'm a human, not a machine. Wanted to stop by, say hi. Hope your day is going well. Looking forward to connecting in the future. Bye." I just no necessarily a big call to action because you're just leaving a voicemail that points me to an email. Would you think that's a good idea?
Yeah, for sure. And I can admit myself that I haven't done that. So that is actually a great idea that I had to try out.
Yeah.
So I would definitely believe that that also will create that kind of like urgency or some type of interest to check your email. Like, okay, what did he send? He was telling me that he was sending something. Okay, I had to check what did he send.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. That's awesome. I think that is going to be something that our our audience today can think about and start using. I do want to give you a little bit of an opportunity to chat a little bit more about like the company structure. Like we did talk about how you're supporting different regions and different languages. You're supporting, I think you said 2 to 3 AEs. Is that right?
Yeah. So I started with supporting 3 AEs and then went down to 2 AEs.
Cool. I assume as the team was growing or
Yeah.
whatever of SDRs, then you had more SDRs and the ratio
Yeah.
got 1 to 2. Okay. And then when it comes to like tools, obviously LinkedIn, did you have LinkedIn Sales Navigator or
Yeah,
any?
for sure.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. And then you also mentioned something interesting that I want people to hear. Most of the time you're just trying to connect and trying to message people on LinkedIn. But for some prospects, especially if they're really high value, what if they
Yeah.
don't if they don't connect with you, you're using InMail.
Yeah. So on the like the top target, like let's say that you are a chief innovation officer or chief UX or a VP of UX, and then I just wait a little bit longer, like to see, maybe I wait after I send a mail, I maybe wait a week to check if I have like connected with them, and I actually create tasks to check that. I'm not like connecting with them and then just wait and then I forget that I tried to connect with this person. I create a task for myself, check after 7 days, check if I connected with this person. If not, then I use InMail and try to do the same on InMail. Just a short phrase. Hey, I tried to send you an email. I sent you an email for some days ago. I just wanted to show up here and say hi so that you can see my face, that I'm a human and I'm not a machine. And I actually tracked that in a month, last year, sending emails to see like if people were actually engaging. And I think I had three of 9 I sent to, which is better than 0. So and of those 3, 2 of those went to a meeting.
Okay, there
And
you
this
go.
was with a very high level VPs.
So sending that quick email actually helped in some of these
Yeah.
accounts, right?
Yeah.
And then how did you decide? Because I assume, call it you're trying to get into Starbucks. They might have 6 or 7 prospects you're trying to reach out to. Would you ensure that you're only like sending email to one person per account, or only to, you said some of the highest titles, or
Yeah,
do you
it
keep
really
track of that?
depends on, yeah, it really depends on like the account. So I collaborated very closely with the AE, and if it was like one account that they really wanted to get into, then I try to reach out to maybe 2 or 3 on that company, and the other ones I only tried with one.
Yeah, Good stuff. Let's talk about some other tools. So LinkedIn Sales Navigator was the top. What were you using for data or calls or
Yeah,
emails or?
yeah. So we use ZoomInfo and Cognizant. And I know that Cognizant is maybe a little bit better, have better data for Europe than in the US, and vice versa with ZoomInfo. And then we used Outreach for sending out emails and prospecting. And then also earlier, we used a tool that was called Vainu, and that is like a data provider tool where you can find accounts, basically. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. That's awesome stuff. Those tools look good. So Outreach plus on the data side here, ZoomInfo for the US mostly, and then Cognizant for Europe mostly, though
Yeah.
they do have data for both, but they have strengths and weaknesses. And then you're supporting your territories. Did you do anything with video or anything with like direct mail or any other strategies that you tried or any other tools that you
Yeah, so before we were acquired. So in my previous company, I started actually as a startup too, and then we were acquired by a US company. So when I worked at the startup, what we actually did, and this we got like 40% booking rate when we did that. So close to 1 of 2 said yes to meeting when we did that. That was because we were a provider of user tests. So people were testing, for example, let's say Starbucks website. So what I did before I was reaching out was that I was actually creating a real user test and then embed that in the email to the prospect, so that when the prospect got my email, they could see a real user test of their website or their app or something in their
so you would record yourself, let's say on their website, clicking around and showing them maybe some stuff, or what were you doing?
Yeah. So I didn't record myself. I was actually giving them a real test with a real user. So I was launching that test to some random people that wanted to test website and get paid for it.
Okay.
And then I embedded that video into the email, sending it to the prospect.
So almost like a super tiny like free trial in this case, and this would be very specific to you guys.
So so I was creating the questions, right? So the first one would be like, what's your first impression of their website? And the second one, I tried to be more like personalized. Like if I saw that they have created a new button or something, I was like, try to find the button where you are purchasing that coffee.
Right.
And they were trying to do that. And the response was like really great. Also, the AEs told me that in the meetings, the prospects were like saying that the outreach was really good, and they really liked how we like reach out to them. So that worked very well. I also tried with we used a tool called Hippo Videos for video engagement, where we were like I was recording myself, and then I could just edit on, it was like a poster or something where I could edit the name, the company names.
Hippo Video.
Yeah.
This is cool. I've never heard of them. I used Vidyard and some of these, but so this will allow you to create a video and then edit it on like on the spot.
Yeah.
Huh. I'm gonna look into that. This is cool, man. You've used a lot of like really cool, interesting things. So I love that. I know we're getting close to the end of time. You've been super kind with your time. You've provided everybody so much knowledge and ideas and things to test. Tell us the last things you want to share. Any specific people you follow on LinkedIn? Where have you learned all these strategies? You know, or anything else you'd like to share?
Yeah. So of course, if you want to be better in this game, you have to be updated on what's happening. So I'm following you Tito as one of my inspirational SDR leaders, and also Morgan Ingram, Colin Cadmus, of course, some of my earlier co-workers. Michael Friedrich was one of the AEs that I work very close with and got a lot of tips from. And also our sales advisor, SDR, and my managers today. So everything I have learned comes from others. And I just try to take the best part of everyone and to create it to my own.
Yeah, I love that. Really cool stuff, man. You are a force of nature here, doing a lot of interesting stuff, being very oriented towards, you know, providing your customers value, talking in their like actual language, like, and then personalizing, customizing things, and being smart about the multi-touch sequence. So thanks again for the time. Thanks for coming and participating. I think a lot of people are going to get a bunch of value from this. We're going to make this into a blog post for LinkedIn and share it. And it will also be on YouTube. For those of you who are watching, I think, Joakim, you are probably number 17 or 18 in this series. And there's a lot of different amazing SDRs who have tried all sorts of different strategies. And everybody is somewhere between 130% of quota and, you know, 400 or whatever crazy numbers you're achieving today. So any last things you wanna mention before we part ways?
I forgot to mention that, but I'm working on a super cool fast growing startup in Norway today. It's called ShiftX. So we are creating a whole new, entirely new way of visualizing processes and flows, and we are hiring new SDRs. So if you want to join a super fast growing company and team, just connect with me on LinkedIn, send me a message, and let's connect.
Awesome. Sounds great, man. At Aldi Sales, we're also hiring a bunch of SDRs. So for everybody who's applying, connect with either of us. And thanks for joining us. This was awesome. Thanks again.
Thanks.